What's our goal when other people are experiencing grief and we're hoping to care for them? Well, in this video, we're going to look at what is carrying and caring for healthy grief. As I said before, all ways that people carry grief are appropriate and acceptable, particularly if it involves feeling it and feeling it all the way, sitting in it, as Buddhists would say. Grief is something that can't be chased away, can't be cured away. You can acknowledge it. You can see it as a companion. You can even on some days love that it's there because it's a sign and symbol that you loved someone else dearly or had things that you cared passionately in your life that created that grief in you. But grief can't be wisped away with some sort of magical formula. So if it's going to be with us, it's going to visit when on its time frame, not necessarily when we invite it in. What is a healthy way of sitting with grief or caring for others who have grief? In my experience, it involves acknowledging that our human emotions are like a big rubber band. And not just like a spectrum that you might think of like, I have no grief at all, or I have lots of grief. It's a rubber band. And some days people flick the rubber band and it agitates our grief in ways we didn't want to. And other days we're stretching the band to increase our capacity through grief rituals that might give us language and space to handle more. And it might shift and ebb and flow and wiggle and jiggle, but the goal is to be able to tolerate it. So, any ritual or type of care that helps us tolerate the amount of grief we have, not to push it away, not to hide it, not to be afraid, but to tolerate it, is valid self care and spiritual care. This means that there can be a whole long list of ways you care for yourself. It could be knitting, crocheting, pets, soft things, food. It could be going to a special place. It could be honoring memories. It could be planting trees. It could be having smells and bells and pastors and all kinds of faith people with you. It could be poetry. It could be art. It could be breaking plates. It could be laughing at the wrong moment in a funeral. It could be anything that is helping you have the bandwidth to be present. All the ways that we're trying to encounter our grief should help us be fully in our body, not to disassociate and check out, except sometimes we're going to need to, right? When things are too hard and too much. Maybe a grief ritual is going to help us come back after things are too hard or too much. Maybe a grief ritual is going to allow us to not have to talk to anyone who agitates us because we're so angry and we can't handle that kind of conversation right now. Maybe a grief ritual is going to simply remind us we're not alone as we're sitting together. As I am thinking about the words and the language, the ways that I speak when I'm with other people and their grief, particularly if I'm the faith leader who's going to hold the container of safety for people who are exploring their grief, I think and imagine that as many people who are in the room with me, there are probably 18 different ways each one of those people is holding their grief, naming their grief, and experiencing things. That means at the same moment, I could have a kind of grief that makes me so mad I want to scream, so sad I want to cry, so joyful and hopeful that I could just plant every tree on the planet, or shift really fastly through these things. Slowing down the way our feelings change so we can sit with them longer before it shifts to something else, or just simply naming that these possibilities are possibilities makes people feel it's not shameful to sit with however grief pops up like acid reflux in their life. So that means any language that can hold and have capacity for something being the worst, terriblest at the same time that it could be lovely and great is going to be expansive language that's going to help people. There are some metaphors and imageries that help with this. For example, if you imagine something you loved so dearly being a butterfly and beautifully and elegantly with the most amazing, your favorite color of wings floating away in a way that reminds you how mystical and magical your experience was that you are grieving and that it's near you again, it can hold that hope and promise at the same time that you can be frustrated that the elusive butterfly cannot be caught and is leaving you when you want it to stay. Anything that helps you cultivate the ability in the same sentence to say a thing that speaks to people in radically different emotional states, the more you can speak to a larger room or care for the way grief changes inside of people more effectively. So here's an example. In an example where the thing I am grieving is someone who died due to addiction. I am so grateful for this person who passed away. I am angry at addiction. I am heartbroken at the opportunities that we lost, the fact that time no longer gives us the opportunity to repair. And I'm so grateful at the new kind of freedom that this person who was trapped by addiction is no longer trapped and is finally free. I hold space for those who feared this moment would happen, the relief that might come from the worst of our fears being here and not having to worry anymore what's next. And in this place, we lift up the best intentions we have moving forward, carrying the best memories and honoring and pledging to move forward in better ways. Do you see how I held this hurts and I'm sad and this person was great in the same sort of rubber band ball of how we talk? That's part of the ways prayers are designed to hold grief. The goal is to care for people wherever they are, in whatever emotional state they're in. Being able to cultivate this knowledge that all people are multiple things, or even in a group of people who seemingly agree on the outside of their mouths, there are still people who have differences in how they're gathered. You can walk into any room and know how to respond to whatever the thing they are grieving is, simply by practicing words that help stretch that rubber band of what people can tolerate, acknowledge the multiple spaces and emotions that people are carrying inside themselves at once, and helping people to stay in one place if they're able. So, if you're not good at multiple speaking of both we're mad and happy at the same time, it's okay. Then the grief rituals that are maybe going to be your gift to the world are the ones that help people hold still. Here is our ritual for when we're angry. We all signed up for it. We all showed up for it. We're going to stay in this one emotion. And then you get to have one tone through the whole thing. Folk who are not good at just that one tone and want to have a fuller way of speaking, then you're the ones who are going to hold those who are popping from emotion to emotion. Don't have to be good at all the things. In our time together in class, though, we will explore them. So you can test what kinds of things feel easier, what kinds of things you want to cultivate, and what kind of things you might want to call a colleague to help with because it's not your way of sitting with grief.